Hello and welcome to How's Your Heart podcast. Igama lami ndinguLindo Kuhle. It is Lindo for short. Welcome to yet another episode. Guys, I am back again. Following up on my life update, as I was stopping to record, I decided let me just tell you about one of the difficult things that I have been facing, and many people that have relocated from South Africa to the UK are facing as well. I think one of the things that are killing the youth, maybe not all the youth, but people that have relocated from other countries to foreign lands, that is a big step. And I think we have glamorized relocating to other countries a lot, and we do not talk about the struggles that we face along the way. In this episode, I want to talk about my experience drawing from conversations that I've had with friends as well. If you're thinking about relocating from your home country to another country, I think these are things that you need to take into consideration. I'd love to hear about other people's experience when it comes to relocating, and I'll do a more in-depth episode on this, hopefully with someone else that has had a similar experience. So let's get into it. I moved to the UK about 3.5 years ago, and when I arrived here, I said, I am never going home. I'm having my kids here. I'm dying here. They will bury me here. And then I found out the burial costs and the fact that if you don't have enough money, you get cremated. I said, no. But honestly, the reason why I have kind of decided against that is because it is expensive to live here. I can imagine my pound will go a long way in Africa and wherever the Lord leads. Anyway, with that being said, I am still considering whether I want to die here. I probably will not. When you are relocating to another country, you are very excited. I've done a relocation video on this channel. You're very excited. And specifically in my context where CAs are having this opportunity, it's mostly people from previously disadvantaged backgrounds having this opportunity to go and work overseas. You see all these other people, your seniors, friends that have relocated from South Africa to other countries, most popular countries being the UK, Ireland, or America. And that's all very exciting. But if you do not have your why, it is something that can lead to feelings of depression, being homesick, and generally feeling like you do not fit here. I remember having a conversation with a group of girls. They were in the country for about 3 months, and already they were feeling agitated. They were feeling like already they do not like doing audit, but because this was the opportunity for them to come into the country, they've taken that job. I plead with all the CAs, if you do not want to stay in audit, do not come to the UK to do audit. You already know you don't like this type of job. Do not come to the UK or any other country because it will give you sponsorship. Maybe do a short-term secondment, but do not tie yourself up to a contract that is linked to a job you do not want to do. I was very fortunate and so blessed to have left audit in good terms. I didn't have qualms with audit. I just knew that it was getting boring. I didn't want to be a partner. I think it's something that I could have done. I could still do it if I wanted to, but I just wanted something different, and the Lord blessed me with a job within 15 months and I left audit. But that is not everybody's story. So be very, very thoughtful. Put a lot of thought into your decision to move. Don't just move for a job. Secondly, this is not child's play. This is your life. It's not just about your friends. It's not about just telling your people back home that you live in another country. I always say, for me, my life would be almost similar if I was in South Africa, because I probably would have moved to Joburg. I would have been away from my family. So I knew that I would not have my family with me close by. So if you are someone that relies heavily on their family, that relies heavily on the support structure of your family and friends that you've had since childhood, you may find it difficult to be here. You may find it difficult to be away from your support structure. One thing that I said to one of my friends, the time I didn't know him, reached out to me on LinkedIn and he asked me about social, the social aspect of being here. And I said, you will find your community. You'll find your people if you want to. If you're willing and able to go out there, you will find that. However, you have to be at the forefront of that. Yes, people might invite you to things, but at some point they will stop inviting you. I think it's 2 strikes and then I'm not inviting you again. But also be open and willing. I think when I came here, I was not as open. I was not as outgoing. I've had the same friends since some high school and mostly in university. So I did not go outside of my comfort zone to make new friends. And here you will have to go outside of your comfort zone. If you're outgoing, you probably will enjoy London. London has a lot of things to do. Okay, I'm speaking specifically based on in London. You'll have a lot of things to do and you will probably find your tribe. And there are a lot of South African communities. There's the Stockfell. I know there are other events, Amapiano. So if you're someone that is into that crowd, you will probably find your people. So do a lot of research, even for people that are not particularly coming into London. Do a lot of research in terms of how you can find your community there. Those are the important bits. So it's making sure that you do like your job. It's making sure that you find out about your community. And those are the important things. Now, this aspect that I'm going to talk about is something that you figure out over time, right? I believe everyone, whether you have relocated or not, you will face this struggle in your late 20s, early 30s, where you might feel stagnant. You might feel like your job is not giving you what you want it to give, where you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. And particularly for people that are not in their home countries, there is a deep sense of wanting what you do not have. I don't know what the word is, but dreaming about the life that you think you could be having back home. Thinking about the life that you think, this is not true. You cannot live 2 parallel lives at the same time, right? So it's either you've decided to move or you decided to not move. And that's how you would have found out out how your life would have panned out. The reason why I say you think you would have had is because there's no evidence that you would be having different feelings if you had stayed in your home country or not. But I find it very difficult now being away from my family because there's the aspect that maybe if I go back to my family, then my life would make sense. But I think that is a false reality because, as I said, if I was back home, I would be away from my family. My family cannot decide for me what I need to do with my life. My family will not be there to guide me in each and every step. So be careful to think about, especially for the people that have made the decision to move, be careful to think that your life in your home country would have been better. Be careful of that, because when you go back there, you might find that it is not what you thought it would be. So my appeal, and a lot of conversations that I've had with my friends is, okay, we all had different visions of why we wanted to move. But when we have change over time, and don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to change. I remember one of the girls that I used to watch on YouTube, she came to London, I think for 2 years, went back to South Africa, stayed there, and then she decided to come back to London. And I think she lives here right now. And one thing that she stressed is, do not be afraid to change your mind. Do not think that people will ask you, hey, and now you're back from London. Why are you back? And yes, people ask that, but do not be afraid to change your mind. If you feel like at this point, going home will be what will bring more fulfillment in your life, will make more sense, do that. But be very careful, as I said, not to do it out of fantasizing. I think that's the word, fantasizing that life would be a bit better. And another thing is, I want to say to people, whether you've moved your home country or not, check in on your friends. We face a lot of different struggles. For those that are here, they face struggles of thinking, should I still be here? Should I still be away from my family? Is it worth being here? Being in your 30s, you're asking yourself, what am I doing? What am I doing? I am working, I have no kids, I have nothing to take care of. I feel like I need a responsibility, whether you want to buy a house, you want to buy something just to feel a sense of maybe achievement or a sense of responsibility. There's those questions that you have. And then if you're back home in your home country, there's questions that you're also asking yourself. Look at your peers. Am I supposed to be buying a house? In comparison to my peers that we finished around the same time, they're buying houses, they're getting married, they're having kids, they're going on vacations. People are traveling Europe. Like, you feel the pressure. And it's not necessarily, it's good to compare sometimes. It's good to look at other people and be inspired. Maybe that's the word. It's good to be inspired by what other people are doing, because sometimes you may be in a rut and you need that inspiration. So the reason why I'm not saying just check in on your friends that are away from home, check in on your friends in general, because we face a lot of different challenges. And yes, this video might be geared towards people that have relocated and the reality and the truth of being away from family, being away from friends, the lack of that support system. But also for those that are at home, your friends that you've left, they are also facing their own struggles. So do not be selfish and just think it's all about you. Other people are facing struggles that they need support in. And I think one final thing that I want to touch on is, this is a difficult one. Finances, money. I spoke about this in one of my videos where I talked about how much I had to pay back because of some of the relocation fees that I incurred when I moved here. And from that, the debt that I had accumulated. The truth of the matter is, generally, as people, we're in a very bad economy. Yeah? And in this economy, it's difficult to save. And I remember when I made the decision to come here, I thought I would have more money to send back home, to do things back home and travel, live a nice life, be a London babe. The reality is, being a CA back home, you're probably in maybe 20%, in the top 20% of earners. In London, being a CA is not all that. You are literally just working class. Like, yes, I don't know how to put this, but being a CA is almost like just at the top of the bottom of the food chain. Like, it gives you, let me not speak bad of my blessings. But when you think about moving, don't think that, oh, I'm going to earn this much and it's going to allow me to do all these things. The reality is, and for so long I felt like, oh, I'm probably the only one that doesn't save. I'm probably the only one that's living paycheck to paycheck. I'm probably the only one that cannot do certain things. The reality is, the money that you make in London stays in London. Not in your bank account, it stays here. Living here is so expensive. The rent, food, transport is expensive, right? So be very careful to not make the mistake of moving thinking that it will bring this financial freedom to do as many things as you can think. And if you speak to enough people, you'll realize that saving £500 is a blessing. Each month saving, I'm not even talking about £1,000. If there's people saving £1,000, Lord, count me in those people. Because it is difficult. It is difficult. That's probably maybe almost a third of your salary. That's £1,000. So be careful. Be very, very careful. Research about the standard of living wherever you're going, because that will determine whether you do have financial freedom to do all these things that you think relocating will help you in doing. That is it for today. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Thank you so much for supporting me and coming back over and over again. And I will do this episode with someone who has more experience. So I really hope that you'll think twice about moving, and you'll think more about those that have that are outside of their home countries, and generally you will be there for your friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.